Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Supernatural episode 1507 titled Last Call, which premiered Thursday, December 5th, 2019 on the CW. I'm recording on December 7th, so it's been a few days. So, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. This time, though, it's still my genuine first impressions, but I have watched a few reaction videos, specifically Abnormally Adams. It's great to just watch his to get his reaction as well as just to rewatch the episode through his videos. And also, I've done a little bit of research to confirm a few things for me in the last 2 days, just because I went home to visit my family and I didn't bring my computer, so I was just so tired I didn't want to record. So that's a little heads up there in regards to my thoughts, but they are genuinely still my own. So take that however you will. But otherwise, that is pretty much it. I will try to do this in 15 minutes. So let's start this clock and let's begin with what happened in 1507. So timeline wise, it doesn't say in the episode, but I think it's either a day after or it's been a few days since the events of 1506. I mean, I'm not really sure how long Eileen has been back because she doesn't really her first her first outfit she wears like back from the dead, she's in a towel. So it's not like I could judge if her outfit in this episode is the same one she was finished with in the previous one. But definitely one night has passed to allow for her and Sam to get drunk on margaritas. So I'm going to say maybe it's been a few days. So there's that. Episode reminder, though, is the fact that I'm going to remember it as being Dean's night out, and I will talk about it a little more in just a moment. But the episode breakdowns or the storylines of this episode, it's two specific ones. Pretty much you can divide them between Sam and Dean. So with Dean being in the first storyline of the hunter is now the hunted, and this takes place in Texas. The second one deals with Soul Slivers, which deals within the bunker, and that's pertaining to Sam. So with the first storyline, we get Dean reuniting with his former hunting buddy named Lee Webb in his bar in Texas, which is where Dean's recent case had led him to in regards to a missing girl. I will talk about them later on, but that's pretty much their case for that. And then with the second storyline with Soul Slivers is pretty much Cass coming back to the bunker and trying to track Chuck through Sam's equalizer wound. Doing so results in Sam going unconscious and finding out that he is slowly dying because a part of his soul is still stuck in Chuck because of the wound. And the farther it goes, the more increase of a chance it has at breaking. Sergey kind of brought it as an example of it being like a rubber band. If you're stretching 2 points of it too far, how far before it actually snaps and breaks. And again, Sergey is the shaman that Castiel calls in to help heal Sam. Some blackmailing on both sides was done, but in the end, Sam does get healed, at least temporarily. Pretty sure his life is still on the balance as long as his piece of his soul is not with him, from the sounds of it. So there is that. The last scene of the episode does show Sam telling Dean that he thinks Chuck is getting weaker and that there is a way that they could beat him. Cass and Eileen are also present. So there is that. Now, tidbit-wise, though, we do find out that there is no sign of Chuck or Lilith anywhere. Sam and Eileen weren't able to find any research or any leads. Whether or not that's actually true or it's just due to the fact that they were both drunk while trying to find this information is unclear. So at the moment, they're not sure outside of what Cass tried to get from the equalizer wound. Also, we do get reference to the Black Key, aka the key to death, which Sergey wanted this whole time. And apparently this key can open the door to Death's library. As you remember, Death's library has a whole bunch of books pertaining to how everybody is meant to die and the details behind it. So there's that. Hopefully with it being mentioned, we get to see it appear. Maybe have the brothers going into this library to see if Chuck has his own book on how he can die, or see if their own books have now changed, because originally everyone's book had that Michael was going to kill them, if you recall, last season. So there's that. Another tidbit was the fact that Sam, again, like I mentioned, can see Chuck's memories. Like we saw snippets of Amara's assessment on the equalizer wound, and then we also saw snippets of Chuck as the writer, talking about the ending of Supernatural or his thoughts about the Supernatural book series. So there is that part. That was a great little archive footage moment there for us. But also a question is the fact that when Sam says that he could see Chuck's memory, is it only the memories after which they both got the equalizer wound, which would make sense, or is it that he now sees any of Chuck's memories that kind of float through the connection? Because the Amara one makes sense because it happened both after the equalizer wound and also it pertains to the wound itself. And then with Chuck's writings, part of it makes sense because we did have that scene with Becky and he was talking about it, but also some of it sounded like stuff we've heard from season 5 from Chuck. So I wasn't sure about that. But end tally or death tally, we get Angela, which was the missing girl that jump-started the case for Dean. And then we get the Marid creature, which looked like that mermaid and fish gill thing. He was killed off screen by Dean by decapitation. And then we got Lee Webb, which is his hunting buddy that Dean had to kill with a pool cue into the stomach. So Dean got a lot done in this episode. So there's that. So let's move on to the most shocking moment of the episode. I think while I wasn't truly surprised that Lee was the one behind the disappearances, I was shocked that he was still human and yet he was the one sacrificing all these girls to feed the Marid creature and he was still human for it. I was expecting more of like if it was a hunter turned into a creature and that's why he had gone bad. Not because that he was still human and he really just felt like he was owed what was deserved to him. That was a shock for me there. Which also led me to me wondering whether or not this was the first time Dean ended up killing a human knowingly. I mean, I'm not going to count demon vessels because if they're being possessed by demons, then the human is kind of like disregarded and stuff like that. But like, was this the first time that Dean knowingly killed a human on a case? I don't remember. If someone could please clarify that for me in the comments down below, I'd truly appreciate it. But I know that kept running through my head, whether or not like, oh, was this the first time or was it something else? I don't know. Because otherwise, any other time that he would have killed, they always had some monster aspect to them. Right? I think. I don't know. But that was the shocker there. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. A huge favorite of mine was not only just the friendship or that we got between Dean and Lee Webb, but it's mainly the singing that they did together. And it was just like amazing. And okay, so the two of them as a unit together. First off, their singing was just awesome. Now I know it's a running joke in the show that Dean can't sing, but I truly didn't care about that because that was usually earlier on in the seasons, like it's like 10 years ago stuff. And it could very well be that Dean has learned to grow into his singing because years have passed, and that could be progress, which would make sense. I mean, even if the last time we've actually seen Dean sing was like in episode 1104, possibly, that was still 4 years ago. A person could grow in their singing capabilities in that amount of time. So I can suspend my belief when it comes to that. Or they just broke the running joke altogether and just had Jensen sing as an homage to the fact that he's sung or that he's made this musical jump in his outside Supernatural work and also with the Supernatural convention. So it's like I was fine either way, whether it was just Jensen coming through a little bit for Dean and just giving us this moment in Supernatural canon, or if it really was Dean just like playing up to it and showing his progress in singing. Hold on, let me get the phone. Sorry, that was my uncle calling. Where was I? So yeah, so I could suspend my belief in regards to whether it was Dean showing progress in his singing or if it was actually just Jensen coming through for the moment. But either way, that song between them was just fantastic. I've been playing it on loop from YouTube, so I'm all good. Another thing I really liked about these two was the fact that we got pretty much a trip down memory lane, both memories we've seen in Supernatural and both made between them out before the show even started. So like with the canon memories being specifically from episode 406, with Dean bringing up his time with ghost sickness, and then also Lee referencing Dean just lip syncing to Eye of the Tiger when nobody's looking. So like that was just something there. And then also just the pre-series memories that they shared together, like the fact that they haven't seen each other since Sam was back in Stanford, or the fact that before a hunt for the before Dean and Lee went on a hunt together, John would play them the song that they sang together in this episode as kind of like their own ritualistic getting you pumped up for the hunt type of thing. And then apparently another little tidbit that we learned was the fact that Lee and Dean apparently hooked up with triplets and they split them equally, which I find confusing because that's 3. You can't really split 3 evenly between 2 people. And otherwise, that has everybody also speculating, well, does that mean that it was an orgy situation between them, which also led the fact that does that mean that Dean is kind of somewhat bisexual, or was it just Dean and Lee focusing specifically on the triplets and they just disregarded each other in the whole scenario, or was it just their own separate little hookups and then they just swapped? It's like, who knows? I don't really care, but I know that little tidbit could mean different statuses for the character itself. So it's just like, whoa. And also just a reminder of how crazy Dean was with his personal life back there. So there is that, which still sticks to canon for him. So I'll leave it at that. But it was just really great to have Dean, before he really dived back into the case, it was great to just see him let loose, go down his memories and have fun and just not have to worry about anything for a while. And then when it got back into the case, that's when things really went dark, when it found out they were both on the opposite sides of this, which was a little heartbreaking, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But it was just great to see him at least have a little bit of fun, to take a day off, if you will. So there's that. Another favorite I did have was Sam and Eileen. I mean, they were just so cute together, and I swear their sexual tension was just like there, and then they got cock-blocked by Cass. So while I want to see things progress between them, I don't want it if it means Eileen's gonna die again, because as we know, Sam's own running joke is the fact that all the girls he hooks up with dies shortly afterward. I'm pretty sure the only safe one that he slept with was Dr. Kara back in season 4 with the siren case. Someone please correct me if there's someone else that survived a night with Sam. But like, if Eileen can be with Sam and still be alive afterwards, then I'm okay with seeing them progress further. But I know a lot of people would be concerned with the fact that they don't want to see it if it gets in the way of the brotherhood and like how they're gonna take down Chuck together. I mean, I get it. It depends on balancing and stuff. Like on the one hand, you want to see Sam have his own separate happiness, but then at the same time, you also want him to have the unity with his brother as well. So I get it, but I could definitely see Sam and Eileen together. The fact that he's putting so much effort to further communicate with her and just let loose as well. And Dean kind of puts his own approval of Eileen together. He seems to be a saline shipper from the sounds of the clip. So it's like, I'm all for that. But I only reason I wouldn't want it is if it means she's going to die because of it. I don't want that. She already died once. Let's spare her from a second trip downstairs. So there's that. And the third favorite I did have was the fact that Sam was able to see what Chuck sees or experience. Again, don't know if that means if it was only he sees what happened to Chuck after he acquired the equalizer wound, or if it's just jumbles of anything that comes to his mind. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But I do like the fact that now there's somewhat get an inkling into the puppet master in a sense. So there's that. So let's move on to top 3 peeved moments. One peeve I did have, and it was just something that, like, again, just pops up, is the fact that Dean had to kill another one of his friends. Granted, this friend was in the wrong, but it just feels like he already has so few friends that, like, the fact that he had to be the one to kill one of them, it was depressing. Even though I'm going to disregard in that sentence that he was in the wrong, It just sucked at the fact that it had to be Dean to do it. But yeah, so that was a peeve there, to have Dean be put in that situation. Another peeve, I don't know if it's a peeve, but I guess it's just like an observation in the sense that the actual creature lore of the case for the Marid wasn't really brought on by research by the brothers. So there's the timer. So I'm not even sure if what Lee said about the creature was true or not. So I think that's something that we never had happen before. I mean, we've had human cases before, but this one also had a creature attached to the human. So it's like, I don't know. So maybe that uncertainty has me putting it on the peeve portion of this video. Who knows? And this third peeve I have, it's probably just only me, but I'm probably going to get backlash on it if anyone really cared. But please don't. But I just wanted to state it, and maybe someone could give me some perspective on it. But for some reason, the moment where Lorna, that waitress at the bar, slapped Dean's ass, I didn't like it, and I don't think it was solely because it was her hitting on Dean, as some Dean girls might not like. But I felt like it was more like it's the beginning of a double standard in the making. Because I know, like, a lot of people would say, like, as a woman, and my other fellow women wouldn't like it when men suddenly just slap their ass. Like, even if like they show that they were interested and they still slap their ass, I know that a lot of people would not take too lightly to that. But the fact that I feel like a lot of them would also say that they'd be okay if it was the women slapping men's ass, so Lorna slapping Dean's ass in this case, because it's like it's about time the roles were switched. But then at the same time, I feel like, isn't that going to be setting a double standard when there really shouldn't be a double standard? It's like, it's more like common sense of the fact that if you don't like something be done to you, then don't really display that exact same action to somebody else, essentially, right? Do what you do what you want others to do to you. I think that's what the phrase is. I don't know. I just felt weird when it happened, and I don't think it was because of the fact that it was some random girl showing affections towards Dean. It's I don't know. I guess it was more of like the societal meaning behind it. Did anyone else feel weird about that? Please don't come for me if I'm on the wrong. It's just like I just wanted to share how I thought about it, because I'm just confused about how I'm supposed to feel about it, considering that, like, where I would technically fall on that side of the argument, I think. I have no idea. I'm confused. Let's just move on to random questions, because that also was one of my random questions, now that I think about it. But my first random question is there a way for Sam to get his missing soul part back from Chuck, or is he forever lost without it? I hope so, because I really don't like the rubber band analogy, because I don't like it in the fact that, like, it's inaccurate. It seems perfectly accurate. That's why I don't like it. The fact that I have to worry about it snapping on him at some point. I mean, Sam's soul has already been through enough as it is, as we know, if you remember back to season 6. But there's that. Second question. When will we see Jack again? I'm still waiting for him to reappear. Even though he's, like, stuck in the empty, it was left up in the air with the finale, so I'm still waiting. And the last question, who else is waiting for an update about Heaven, especially with how low on power they were running at the end of season 14? And Cass said in the episode that Angel Radio has been silent for months. So just what the hell is going on up there is the question. So there's that. So let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 1508, it is the mid-season finale episode. It's also directed by Richard Spade Jr. But we see Jake Abel returning, and it looks like Sam and Dean ask Adam. I think it's Adam. It could also be Michael for all we know. But they ask him to help them take down Chuck, and he says that family sucks. So to be fair, it could be both. It could be Adam or Michael who says family sucks, because in the context that they're speaking about Chuck, it could mean that. The synopsis for the episode reads that Sam, Dean, and Castiel's continued search for a way to defeat Chuck leads them to unexpected places and toward unlikely allies. Allies is plural in that spelling, so I'm wondering if it's just more than if it means like Adam and Michael, or if it's someone altogether different. but I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. What do you guys think of this episode? What do you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions about all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out the Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, and off-season news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. I am behind. I'm fully aware. I'm in my last 2 weeks of my semester, so I'm getting slammed with final projects and exams. So please be patient with me. I'll be lucky if I'm able to post this before the weekend is done, just to be clear. But otherwise, WordPress can't. Link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress, a little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress. Otherwise, also live journal entry link is down below. Again, behind, but I did type up jot noted summaries of the episode as I watched them for the first time. They just have to be formatted and colored correctly and then made public for all of you to see. So be on the lookout for that. But the link for the actual page will be down below, or for like the overall page is down below. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next time to see what I have to say about the next episode. Until then, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.